your quarrel is with me. I will no longer tolerate Azazian bloodshed in your petty rebellion.
Petty? You do not deserve the throne! After your father's death, it was supposed to go to your uncle, our true leader.
You truly expected my mother to turn over my father's kingdom to a man they called Backward the Butcher? The same man that murdered my father for the throne?
There was no proof? And besides, he deserved it. He was weak, just like you.
You lay siege to a province full of farmers, good people, my people, and yet you speak of weakness?
If it takes another civil war to replace you, so be it!
Let me make this easy for the both of us. I challenge you to single combat. You win, you are king. I win, and this rebellion is over.
You just made the biggest mistake of your miserable life. Select your champion, my queen.
I am my champion.
Die! Die, wretch! My head! My shoulder! My knees! My toes! My head!
Oversized camel face.
My knees! My toes!
And we're back. Once again, we're talking to Roye Okupe, head CEO, top dreamer, Call of Duty hater from YouNeek Studios. And we're talking about some of the works he's done. This guy has built a fantastic universe of characters, and we're going to be talking about some of them right now. But the clip you just saw and heard was from the animated short Malika. Mm-hmm. And I've got to say, any Nigerian who sees that clip will be laughing out loud, because that sequence where he's going, my head, my shoulders, is hilarious, because we all know it. It's a child's game. So my question to you is, you clearly are flexible enough that you can go from a more serious tone in the comic books to a more family-friendly, welcoming comedy almost stylings of the same story on the screen. So I'm curious to know, how do you jump from one tone to the other, and what's the collaborative process that goes into that when you're working with, the creators, the artists, the actors to transmit that to screen?
Yeah. First of all, I want to give props to Antio Studios, who were our partners in producing the animation. One of the things that I'm most proud of as someone who wrote and directs is that the animation was 100% done in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, by Antio Studios. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there. One thing that you learn very quickly when you start to get into the realm of, adapting, comic book material, and we've seen this with all the bigger characters, is that obviously everything cannot be the same as it was in the comic. And going from comic book to animation, I really wanted to, because there's a lot of things you can get away with when people are reading on their own time. I can read 2 pages and continue next week. I can read 10 or whatever. But when somebody is watching something, more than likely, if they don't watch it in one sitting, they might not come back to it. So you want to keep people engaged. And so for me, it was a very cool opportunity to insert that kind of humor very early in the animated shorts, for someone to be able to just laugh and be like, okay, I dig this. Because like when you make people laugh, like it's easier for you to take them along on a ride that's even serious, because like you've sort of like, put down all the walls, like they're entertained, they're laughing, their endorphins are moving or whatever the case may be in their brain. No, I'm serious. Like there's a science to it as well. And people are more, susceptible to whatever it is that you want to do at that point in time. That's why Marvel is so successful. But yeah, for me, it was just as easy as, look, I can't, coming to animation, like I can't make this like super serious. And it's not like there's no humor like in the Malika, EXO, the comic book, there's a lot more humor in like that book. Like to me, that's an action comedy even, like because of the amount of humor that's in there. But obviously Malika, I wanted to take a more serious tone. But for the animation, to answer your question, I really wanted to put something in there that's early on that made people feel like, okay, this is a serious story, but we're not afraid to laugh at certain things. And to me, it was just my own selfish way of inserting something that has been very funny to me growing up. That song, like my head, my shoulder, my knees, my toe, like it's like just thinking about it, like it's just been so funny to me. I was like, I can't pass up this opportunity to put that in there. Yeah.
As somebody who, when I was reading EXO at the beginning, I could immediately see that like you said, I could see that as an action comedy because first of all, there's the dynamics of himself, but there's no way you like one thing that holds us guys together.
Yes,
we laugh at each other.
Exactly.
So you see EXO's friends, you see them the comedy, they clown each other, and the comedy comes from there. But I liked something else, like there's always that fine line between writing dialogue that's accessible to people who aren't Nigerian.
Yes.
But it's also very, people who are African as a whole can relate to it. And then Nigerians in particular can, say, oh my God, I know a guy who talks like this.
It's a very, very, very hard balance, but one that I don't feel like it's impossible. And obviously I've done that now with 4 EXO books. Obviously it's gotten a little bit easier the more I write, but what you said is very key. As much as I wanted to put these jokes that were relevant to Nigerian culture, and more specifically, even Lagosians, I wanted it to be universal enough where somebody could get the joke. And you find that a lot of people, not just even African Americans, people from all sorts, Europeans, Americans, white Americans, like people have come to me and like, wow, this was so funny. Oh, I love this character, Benji. He makes me laugh so much. So to me, that is an accomplishment because it has stayed true to the culture, but it has not alienated people who don't necessarily, understand, certain nuances, in terms of, what people laugh at in Lagos. And I think it starts with just making it as broad as possible. So like you said, a group of guys are sitting down, like we're clowning each other about Call of Duty, or like that's something that happens in all cultures. Do you see what I'm saying? So it starts with that. So people recognize that. And then you can insert 1 or 2 things that are, unique to a culture, but not in a way that alienates people. And once you can do that, to me, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, when we do get a chance to hopefully maybe adapt EXO as an animation, it's like, I see it as like, how you laughed when you watched, Avatar, The Last Airbender, just getting those, those jokes in, like, and then, it's shifting to the serious parts and then not being able to joke again as well, too, is something that I really look forward to.
Question for, oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I've always found that humor always has a part to play. I mean, I'm a great believer that no matter how great a tragedy is in the film, in real life, people going through the greatest tragedy are always laughing. So I always think a great mix is always crucial to comic media anywhere.
Definitely, 100% agree. Definitely.
So when you reached out to Ant Hill Studios, and by the way, we're maybe one of these days hoping to have a conversation with them as well on Naija Nerds. But I was following that whole process very closely when the Kickstarter was going, and then you're now talking about how you're going to work with so-and-so group, and then you guys were, both teams were putting the word out and getting people to pay attention to it and drawing attention to it. And I was so proud of the fact that you were able to succeed and then go past the initial point and go into your stretch goals. And then, we're looking to see if we can do this. We'll get a Nollywood star. We'll get somebody known. And then I look and I see you've got people like Femi Branch on board. Like Adesua Etomi-Wellington on board. And I'm thinking, ooh, hey, this is good. You know, so talk about that whole process, approaching these people and asking them to be a part of this animated project. Like, what did they think? What were their reactions when you first reached out?
Yeah, I think, to answer, it's twofold, right? The first one is the decision to actually partner with Ant Hill because, you may or may not know, Ant Hill is run by Ni Akimolayan, who is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, directors in Nollywood. at the moment. And, Nee is somebody that is very well known and very respected. So just because of the mere fact that he was attached to the project, from the Antio, perspective, and he was executive producer on the project, that opened a lot of doors to, for these Nollywood superstars to actually take this more seriously than they would if I just reached out to them. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have taken it seriously, but that just made it so exponentially more easier, as well. And the second thing is, it goes back to what we're talking about, excellence. Everyone wants to be a part of excellence, right? Like them seeing the character design, seeing the animation, and seeing that this is something that we've never actually really seen in Nigeria up until that point. They wanted to be a part of it. And that's what I always try to preach to people. It all starts with you being excellent. Like, excellence attracts excellence. So if there are people you want to work with and it's like, oh, these big people, or even you're looking at, okay, I want to partner with streamers, I want people to buy my work, Netflix, or whatever the case may be, you have to start with excellence, because these people got to where they are by being excellent. And I think the Malika, the animation spoke for itself when they were able to see what they were going to be voicing. And they were like, wow, we want to be part of this. And credit to them, because, they came on board. They were very professional, and they were very, very generous with their time and their efforts. And they just absolutely nailed it across the board. I mean, Adesua, just so fantastic. There are clips of her doing the voices that we put on YouTube. I recommend anybody who enjoyed the Malika animation, please check it out to see just a master of her craft, putting in the work and seeing what it takes to be able to sustain that amount of excellence. So yeah, credit to them as well.
I got to say, I saw one of those clips and I thought, wow, this lady is versatile. Because I've seen her in a few things, and recently there was actually some conversation about Nigerians like to create fuss and muss, and people just talking about, oh, shut up, she's talented, she's one of the better actresses out there, and she's continuing a long line of talented people. Who, it's through projects like these that they get to expand and stretch and flex into other areas, not just the conventional movies and TV shows that talented people in Nigeria back in the day couldn't do. So people like you are opening doors for them as well to try. So I mean that for me was a great thing to see.
No, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, indeed. One thing that I think also kind of struck me was I immediately thought of momentum. Like the second I saw this, my first thought was momentum. Like once you start, people want more. Like the second you give people something, you give an inch, they'll take them out. Your fans will take them out. So I know I speak on behalf of every Malika fan. When I say, when is part 2 coming out?
So it's a very valid question, and people reach out to me all the time about it, and I don't blame them. As a matter of fact, it's very humbling to see how this this project has affected people so positively that they can't wait for the next one. But what I want people to know is that I'm not going to come out with the next one if I cannot either maintain the same quality or exceed that quality. What people don't know is that we raised $20,000 on Kickstarter. If you want to know how much, and I'm going to talk about not just cash but sweat equity, what we did is really something that cost at minimum $60,000.
Wow.
So that money didn't just come from nowhere. It came from me putting an additional money into it, and then until putting it additional time that they never got paid for. You remember on the Kickstarter we asked for money for 7 minutes. The animation is, I believe, 14 minutes is what is on YouTube. It's double that. So if you're looking to do anything from here, I can't go and ask Antio again to take a pay cut of that magnitude, because I would say they got paid maybe a quarter of what they deserve to get paid. I would say I didn't even get paid for anything. I wrote, I direct, I art directed, I produced, and I'm not complaining. You get what I'm saying? The person that did the composing, Femi he's a Nigerian composer that stays here in the States and is a very good friend of mine. Excellent. The music, that's not even another thing a lot of people don't realize. The music is so fantastic that it just elevates it to the animation to another level. He took a drastic pay cut to be part of this. So I say all this to say that we need to, so, if I'm going to do another thing now, it's not going to, like, if I say I wanted to do 10 episodes, right? Because I don't want to keep on doing one episode every year or whatever the case may be. You're talking about millions of dollars, right? I don't know if you have that money, Naija Nerds. I don't know if you have that money.
Hey. Now that you mention it, where's my checkbook right here? Hang on a second.
Actually, there's a question I've been meaning to ask you.
No, but let me finish. Yeah. Sorry, I want to make sure I get, because I want to address this once and for all. And again, it's valid that people continue to ask. We've not been able to, because we're trying to do this in two fronts. Can we raise the money on our own? Go to investors, pitch look, 600,000 people have watched this on Facebook. That's actually a number, right? It's maddening. 600,000 people. You go to investors and they say they don't think it's viable. And I'm like, what else do you want us to do? Like, it's right there in front of your face. Like, there's 600,000 people. Out of those, like, there's 5,000 comments on the YouTube saying, where's the next one? Do you get what I'm saying? But that's the world of entertainment. Like, a lot of people are pitching things. People are, and people want to go for the short thing. So if you've not sold 1 million copies of your books, or you're not Batman or Superman, or you're not a part of DC or Marvel, and again, I can't blame people. That's just business. That's why you see a lot of remakes right now. A lot of people are not doing original thing. It's just let's do the next Batman, or the next this or the next that. And again, I don't hate on those things. I watch them, but I'd say that to make the point that it's just very difficult to raise the money, even when you have an excellent project. Okay. So what we're also trying to do is that, okay, if we can't raise the money to do it ourselves, can we pitch it to these streamers, whether it's HBO Max or Netflix, or Disney, and say, hey, okay, let's work with you to actually create this and take it to another level. Both of those things are being done right now. And I can guarantee you, we are not where we were last year when we released this. We're further along. These things just take time. Now, it doesn't mean that I may not get upset one day and say, look, I'm just going to go on Kickstarter and try and raise $1 million and do it from there. That is also a possibility, but I want to make sure I exhaust these options first and see, okay, can we do it this way? Because you know what the worst thing would be is that I put another Malika episode 2 out there and it's trash. True. That would be the worst thing to do, not just for YouNeek Studios, but to the fans who have waited. They put their hard-earned money in the first Kickstarter. So we want to make sure we do this with excellence, like we did in the first one, and even exceed the expectation. And that takes time, and it takes money. And I guarantee you, as soon as we have anything solid, I will be the first to run and announce, guys, you get what I'm saying? But I guarantee you there are a lot of things in the works, and there are things that are looking positive. I can't say everything right now, obviously, because of discussions and things like that. But just rest assured, things are happening in the background. I promise you, I've not forgotten about my life. I can't even forget about it. I put so much into it. But we're going to do it in the right way, and it's going to be done with excellence, and that takes time and money.
I guarantee you, on behalf of the fans, and I speak to my fellow fans of that short, if trash comes out, I will comfort you.
That's the thing. I know my people. That's the thing. And I know my people. Like, if I do something that is trash, you guys are going to sink me. I can't have that. So I have to come correct. As Nigerians will say, you have to come correct. Yeah.
Right. The question I was going to ask has to do with needing lots of money to run, and also like now you're talking about partnering with other streamers and stuff to see if you can collaborate.
Yeah.
So this might be a tough question for you. Like, I want to ask about how much control you're willing to give, but I'm going to ask it in a different way, because you talked about Naija Nerds, whether Naija Nerds had money. Let's say Naija Nerds had $100 million.
Yes,
I would say, okay. No, don't celebrate too fast. Don't celebrate too fast. Let's say we say Roy. Here's $100 million. Take this $100 million and walk away. We don't want to see you again. We're going to take over your whole business. Just go away. We don't want to hear. We don't want to hear. You want to take the money and shut up. Yeah. Would you do that? Would that work for you?
100 million? Dude, I'm going away. I'm sorry. $100 million? Are you kidding me? Okay. I mean, I know some people are going to expect me. I mean,
he can always come up with new ideas,
but yeah. I get where you're coming from, and I'll say this. Obviously, I was partially joking and partially not joking. So you guys are never going to know whether that was real or not. So I need to sow that doubt. But on a more serious note, I will say this, and I wasn't going to say this. I've turned down offers for where people have come in and say, "I want to give you a bunch of money," and because I knew that they were not going to be the right partners, I had to say no. It's the most difficult thing ever to do, because that money, it's like it's going to help you actually produce the thing that you want to produce, but you always have to think long term, and this is very difficult, and you always have to just wait. Like, you're not always going to have control, don't get me wrong, but there's some elements of, and I think this is what, like, I don't know if you guys, you heard the announcement of like the Avatar live action they were supposed to be with Netflix. Like, these guys, they walked away. You always want to be proud of whatever it is that your name is attached to when you put it out there. So if I'm going to be attached, and if somebody's going to do an animation on any of my characters, they can't, like, go back to your question. They can't say walk away. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm too attached to it in terms of there's so much from me that is ingratiated into it. Like, my characters, as great as they are, like, they've not been around for like 75 years, like Batman, where it's like the character has now become so iconic, where it's like anybody can just take a piece at it. Like, these characters are still very new. Yeah, like people are going to need my expertise to help guide them.
Guide it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you have to be very careful with who you partner with, because some people don't have the best intentions. Some people, and it's not even just about even best intentions, some people are just not the right fit. Like, their vision might be, okay, we want to make Malika into this person that is, it's more risky, like she just kills everybody, it's more dramatic that way. And that might be a good idea for a different show. Or somebody might want to turn Malika into something that is like, we just want it to be exactly like Game of Thrones. Now, I enjoy Game of Thrones, I watched it, but I don't necessarily want, my character, Malika to be in that vision of like this, because Game of Thrones is extremely violent and is very, very mature, right? I want Malika to be in a way where like somebody can take their daughter to watch it alongside them. We don't have a lot of African heroes, whereas like you're creating mature content where you have to say, like Jay, you can't allow your daughter to watch it. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't have enough to do that yet. Now, if we had like 50 different African superheroes or whatever the case may be, there's more flexibility, but we just don't have enough where we start alienating people. So you just have to make these decisions. And again, I'm not saying that I'm never going to do like, I'll never do a Malika that is mature. I don't know that. Maybe the right opportunity will come and there's a way that somebody will say, okay, we'll do a live action version and we'll also do an animation version as well that is for a younger audience or whatever the case may be. I say all this to say that you just have to be very careful who you partner with. And I've had to turn down deals for, Malika in order to maintain a certain integrity on the character and the vision.
That's quite interesting, because when I was reading Malika, at one point I was thinking, this could be a African Game of Thrones. Yeah. So,
and there's nothing wrong in saying that, right? There are levels to Game of Thrones, right? There's a way you can, if you look at something like Lord of the Rings, it's as epic as Game of Thrones, right? Like, it's essentially epic like that, but it's not as, it's not as exclusive to younger audiences. Like, you can go and watch Lord of the Rings with your 10-year-old or your 8-year-old. Like, well, depending on who, the kind of parent you are. So don't get me wrong, please. Don't take advice from me. But you get what I'm saying. Like, there are levels to that. You can do epic in terms of like, politics and, intrigue and backstabbing and all this kind of, you can do those things in a way that doesn't alienate it. And like I said, I'm a Game of Thrones fan. So there are shows where it's like, okay, we have to do it in a mature way because there's certain things that we want to say. And, just for me, it's not just my vision, at least for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say this. You remember, I don't know if you remember it, Roy. One time I sent you a picture of my daughter where she had taken the coloring book. Yeah. And she had the coloring book for, and she'd colored some of the characters and she was posting the photo of Malika. Like, look at this, Daddy. I'm like, hey, you nailed it. That's nice. Tell you what, I'll take a picture of you and send it to the artist, the creator of this. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll love to see it. Yeah. And it was exciting because this is where she begins to see characters that she can identify with. As a father of a person who's trying to raise a strong woman, a strong independent woman who's like a mom, I wanted to know that some of these things are possible. You can create stuff like this. You can, not just enjoy it, you can create stuff like this too. There's an actual person who created this, not some blind, faceless entity you know, behind the scenes. So, you know, maybe we'll dip into our piggy bank one day and see how much we can write a check to make the next, to bring out Malika #2. On that note, it's been awesome. We've been talking to Roye Okupe here. We're going to wrap things up, but I want us to end this by letting everybody know you would not, in fact, you're doing yourself a massive disservice not going to YouNeek Studios. That's YouNeek, NEEK studios.com, and signing up and also downloading the app and getting into that, getting yourself one of those accounts. Because like we said, not only is there a vast amount of content for you as a grown, discerning person, but there's a lot of content in there for you as a person who's an entrepreneur. I know you describe yourself as a creatorpreneur in some other places.
Yes.
So do that. Go follow them on social media. Look up all this content, and there's so much out there. And if you're looking for good stories, epic storytelling, as he said, of a high quality, you could do a lot worse than YouNeek Studios. I guarantee you that right now. So Roy, thanks for joining. Maybe you can just outline where they can find you and how people can look up, find your stuff.
Yeah, first of all, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for having me here. And I'm really excited about what you guys are doing with Naija Nerds as a whole. I think it's filling a gap that has been needed for a very, very, very long time. So please keep doing this. Kudos to you guys. I wanted to make sure that I put that out there. And you can find me at YouNeek Studios on all social platforms. You know, like Jay said, it's YOUNEEK Studios. YouNeekStudios.com is really the central house for everything. Anything you're looking for in terms of information, you can find out there. You can actually even read 100 pages of our comics completely free on the website once you sign up, just, you know, for the newsletter. So if you're skeptical about, you know, what, you know, paying that $2.99, you can get stuff for free and then check it out. But I wanted to end with this because I know there's, you know, there might be people that are watching this and seeing how far in my journey that I've come, and, you know, certain people that want to do the same thing. Honestly, you just have to start. And, you know, even when you start, you know, and things don't go well, it doesn't mean that it's the end. And, you know, everybody's path is different. Everybody takes a different path. So the way it happened for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the way that it happened for you. Just continue to use wisdom. Surround yourself with people that continue to encourage you, and always believe in yourself. It really starts with that. No one is going to believe in yourself as much as you are. And sometimes a lot of people, as creators, like, we want, the adulation and people to encourage us and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine, but it really starts with you at the end of the day. And I always say this, like, nobody owes you anything, like nobody owes you anything. If you want something, you have to go out and carve your own path. And the internet has now made it easier for us to do that, to be able to, build your own audience, and stuff like that. So keep going. Wherever you are in your journey, keep going. It's not the end. Keep being encouraged and just go create cool stuff. And, remember that excellence always wins. There you have it. We've had it straight from the horse's mouth. Author, director, visionary, playboy, philanthropist. I'm married, though. If my wife is listening, I'm married. If my wife is listening, I'm not playboy. Playman, philanthropist. Anyway, you guys married can catch us. You can catch the Naija Nerds anywhere you do social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Look for us at the Naija Nerds. You can also find us at our website at naijanerds.com. And looking forward to having more great people on this show. And if you ever want to jump on, send us a note and we will have a conversation about having this conversation. Take care. Bye, guys.